Hey, welcome to the HR Happy Hour work break for a Friday. I'm Steve Bowes, my guest co-host today. Welcome back to the work break, Madeline Laurano. Madeline, how are you?
I'm well. Hi, Steve. Thanks so much for having me on again.
Thanks for being able to come on a Friday. I think the last time we did this was also a Friday, which is cool. Maybe that could be your spot, like the Friday guest co-host. How are you? I think, honestly, this is maybe more the fault of me. I think the last time I actually spoke to you was when we did this show. So what's been happening the last month or so?
Yeah, it's gone by fast, right? I feel like March was so slow. March and April were so slow, and now obviously we're in this warm weather time that we both love, and it's going by too.
I do.
So things have been good. Work's still busy, which is great, and I'm very grateful for that. And we have some new research. I can talk to you a little bit about some of that.
Yeah,
exciting. And kids are still home. We don't know what's going on with school, and just day by day.
Yeah. And you're in the Boston area for folks who don't know, right? So things probably improving though, right? I'd imagine as this thing has swung crazily around and the Northeast was so hard hit for a while and now it's kind of down where I'm at and in other places. How are things in Boston overall in the Boston area?
Yeah, we've been lucky in Boston and Massachusetts because the cases have remained pretty much the same. We're not seeing this uptick in cases like we were a few months ago, but this could all change next week. So
I know.
I think everybody's, optimistic, but at the same time, we're nervous too. So
yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it too, fairly closely. I know I've mentioned it on this show or the Happy Hour show a couple of times. My son is a student at Boston University, meant to be going back there, and he tells me that he is going back. He just doesn't know when. Like it's kind of uncertain about when they're going to let folks back into school and how many and how they're going to stagger it. But he tells me that as of right now, he's going back to college in Boston in a month or so, maybe a little more. So we'll see.
Which is good news, right? Because Boston BU was one of the first schools that came out and said, we don't know about September.
Yeah.
I think that's positive.
And you remember you did that great podcast on radical research that runs on the HR Happy Hour podcast network with one of the professors from BU. God, that seems like forever ago, doesn't it? That was right at the beginning of this whole thing, kind of, right?
Right at the beginning. And thinking back to that podcast, we were actually in Vegas when I recorded that. And we were talking about no masks. Like the message at that time was you didn't need masks. They really didn't do anything. And that was her message too. And things have changed so much. Now we're obviously.
I'd almost be like, I should listen back to that over the weekend just to almost like shudder a little bit about like, here is this epidemiology professor. No, I'm not knocking her at all, by the way, but just what the medical professionals and what the experts were telling us, because they didn't really, I guess, know either, but just a few months ago, it's crazy. Wow. Yeah. So we were in Vegas. You mentioned Vegas. That must have been the last real trip we all sort of had for business, which was the Ultimate Software Conference, right?
Right.
So I actually had that in mind. I'm glad you brought that up because I had a note to bring something up about that conference because we were lucky to see Michelle Obama at that conference, as you recall, right?
Yeah,
she was part of the. I don't know if that was the closing keynote or just one of the keynotes. I don't really remember that, but it was a great interview and she was really funny. And the reason I bring her up is because she's launching a podcast that, I'm a podcaster, you're a podcaster on our network. And now Michelle Obama has a podcast. And I'm like annoyed by this because here's why, because it's probably going to be awesome. It's probably going to be like better than like, why do these awesome, great people have to get into our space? Don't make it harder for me to attract a podcast audience, please, Michelle Obama. I think, I think she'd be better at everything. And no matter what I decided to do, if Michelle Obama decided to do it, she'd be better at it than me.
She's just amazing.
So come on, Michelle.
Steve, you're like one of the first podcasters, certainly in our space. You're like first. Any advice? Like, what is your Michelle Obama podcast advice? What would you tell her?
Oh, I don't know. Catchphrases, maybe. A jingle or something. I don't know if I could even give her advice. I'm not sure we're even doing it right after all this time. But my advice is to stick to other things. Leave the podcasting space to us. It's hard enough to. No, but I mean, everyone's got a podcast now. Right?
Everyone has one,
which is fine. But every week there's a new one. But so you mentioned your research. Maybe we talked about it a little bit the last time we did the work break, but maybe you can give us a little bit of an update about either that research or maybe some new stuff you've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think last time we talked about an automation report that I did with Olio. There's actually a podcast on radical research coming out on that. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome.
And we just published this major report with Paradox on conversational AI, which is really exciting for me because the research that we got and the data that we collected was so interesting in how companies are using conversational AI, how this market's matured. I mean, it's gone from 7% interested in investing last year to 38% this year, which is insane. So that was fun. And then there's a report coming out with Alexander Mann on talent acquisition and the function and transformation, how companies are thinking about recruiting pre-COVID, COVID, and the future. But the research actually just I would love to chat a little bit about that we just got back today is on returning to work.
Oh, right.
Paid employers to ask them, you know, are they prepared for this? What are their concerns? You know, what do they think is going to happen? And then we surveyed employees, so 500 employees, and asked them, you know, what their fears are, you know, and we looked at childcare, and that's really unique.
Childcare, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that's tied up with all the school reopening conversation as well, right? They're so tied up. I read this thing, it was out of Iowa of all places, but the article caught my attention the other day, and it was this connection between, well, the big university, I guess it was Iowa State University, and they want to bring their employees back to work, but they're not sure that the public schools in whatever city Iowa State University is in, I don't know, but if the public schools don't reopen, how are they going to try to help their employees who have kids, school-age kids, and managing that transition? These things are all tied up together, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't talk about return to work without return to school. And companies aren't, what we found is that 1 in 3 employees aren't comfortable talking to their boss about their childcare concerns right now, which is shocking. And then only 11% of companies are talking about this. They're including these questions in their surveys.
That's really low, though. 11%.
Really low, really low.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff. And people can find that on your website, or how do they sort of get, okay.
They can go to aptituderesearch.com and it's all there, and they can certainly email me and I'll share whatever I've got.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's great that you've been so busy doing great stuff. You got brought up out of nowhere on a demo I was doing the other day with one of the HR tech vendors. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I have something sort of non-work I want to mention, just because I was did my weekly grocery run, and I stumbled upon a beverage I've not had since a long time, which is Yoo-Hoo. Do you remember Yoo-Hoo? I don't know if it's still a thing.
Oh yeah.
This was one of my favorite beverages as a youth, a young fellow back in the day. Yeah. And they direct you on the Yoo-Hoo can to shake it, right? So you take your Yoo-Hoo. I'm shaking the Yoo-Hoo. But the other thing was interesting when I always look for the shake it. It used to say shake it, it's great. Now it just says shake it. That's fine. The other interesting note though on the Yoo-Hoo can, Madeline, is Yoo-Hoo apparently is a good source of vitamins. I know this is probably not readable on the screen.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking to myself, if this is the source you're going to for your vitamins, you're not terribly concerned about vitamins, really. Like, I'm not sure. Is that luring anybody? I don't know. So this is my first Yoo-Hoo in forever. I'm gonna give it a sip here.
Let's see if it's still good.
Oh, it's not bad at all.
Oh, it's good.
Just like I remember. It's got that watery feeling.
Yeah.
That hint of, it's like chocolate milk, but not. There's probably not a drop of milk in this. That's awesome.
What about vitamins? Do you taste any vitamins?
Not yet, but apparently there's 10% of my vitamin D. Hey, I'll take that.
There you go.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So I'm glad it's Friday though, because it's been, as I said, things have gotten much, much busier. I mentioned this yesterday. I did the show with Karen, and we've been doing all these HR tech demos. We did 2 or 3 more today, I think. Like, I'm demoed out, I'm zoomed out, I'm everything out. Like, I think this weekend it's going to be a total, like, close everything down, disconnect. I don't really answer my phone anyway, but don't call me. I'm not answering. It's going to be one of those weekends, I guess. But you're a big fitness person, I know, a big runner. Are the gyms opening up? Can you, like, what are you doing for that? They're not open here in North Carolina yet.
So they just opened. So, some aren't ready, some are ready. The gym I go to did a lot of work. They put basically cubicles around each,
Wow.
So they invested a lot. It looks great, but I'm not ready yet. I haven't gone. I mean, it's nice.
I don't blame you. I'm not sure I'm ready either.
Yeah. I mean, we can still run outside. There's some online things that are okay. I want to go back, but I don't think I'm ready.
Yeah, I've been trying to do the same thing. Right as the pandemic hit, I picked up a couple of bits of exercise equipment for the house. I really do need more than jogging. We're talking about colleges. So my college did a couple of weeks ago, like a virtual 5K with the Alumni Association. So I did that, it was awfully slow. I did not make the medal stand at all, but I did complete it. Yeah, the whole deal is you put on your, I'm a Gamecock alum, South Carolina. So you put on your Gamecock gear, hopefully you have it, which everybody did, and you run in your Gamecock gear, and then you take
that's fun.
You could print out the bib, kind of thing at the house, and yeah, it was kind of cool and fun. It was good to get out there and do it, but it's so hot here now. Like it's probably 95 degrees here, so the running is going to have to shift around a little bit, maybe to the morning. So.
Well, or it's more efficient, right? You could run 10 minutes and it feels like 10 minutes.
Oh my God. I've been drinking so much water. I just went to when I went to get the Yoo-Hoo, I was checking my water stock, put a few more waters in the refrigerator. And I'm going through a lot of water, but you know what I'm doing, Madeline, to try to just manage that, how much water I'm going through? Every other water, I mix in a beer. Just to keep from having too much water and just regulate the water consumption. That's what they recommend. I heard that somewhere.
I think that's a good plan. I think it's a good plan. You gotta break it up. You got to break it up.
All right, Madeline, I think we should get out of here. It's Friday afternoon. I'm kicking off the weekend. This is supposed to be the work break. I'm calling it the end of work for me. I don't care for today anyway. Anything else you want to say on the way out? Radical research.
Radical research. Some cool new podcasts coming soon. What about the NBA Summer League? Are you obviously that's off for the?
Saw the shirt, huh? Yeah, I should mention that. Let's keep talking about this. So I'm so sad. The NBA Summer League is an annual thing that we do. Shout out to the boys, to the 8-man rotation crew. We would go out to the Summer League. We've run 6 or 7 years. I can't remember how many years. So much fun. It was in Las Vegas. It was usually in the early part to the mid part of July. So it would have just happened like last week. We would have been in Vegas at Summer League had there been a Summer League. And so, I just happened to grab the shirt out of the pile. I love Summer League. Hopefully it comes back next summer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great long weekend in Vegas with the boys and some, 8 hours a day of basketball is essentially what it is. And nightcaps at the Cheesecake Factory, which is awesome. That's how we roll. So,
Very nice.
All right. Good stuff. So thank you everybody for watching. It's been a great week of work breaks. We'll be back next week and have a great weekend, everybody. And that's it. We're out.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Thanks, Madeline.